This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod. My name is Tom and I'm joined by, we've got a 50-50 split cast today. We've got half of us are here in the UK and half of us are over in the United States. Obviously, again, I am Tom. I'm joined by my UK-based co-host, Mike Phelan. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Tom.
And we're joined from the States, as I say, by Caleb.
Hello, Tom.
How's it going? All right?
I'm doing fine.
Fantastic. We've also got a very special guest. This is your third appearance now on the Junkyard DreamPod, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That's Stephen Robinson from Dreamcast Hub. Welcome, Stephen.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Sounding very, very chipper. Yeah. Good to have you. Good to have you on board again. Right, this is going to be quite a news-heavy episode, so we're just going to kind of jump in and discuss, all the new topics that have been coming to the fore in the Dreamcast community, which is really weird to say here now in 2017. We're talking about a system that has been dead, for want of a better word, for almost 20 years, and we've still got new things to talk about, which is excellent. First thing I'm going to talk about, though, is nothing to do with the Dreamcast. I just wanted to get your opinions, guys. The Nintendo Switch was announced, or not announced, but kind of really given its full reveal last week. I know that Rob, one of our regular co-hosts, went to the Switch launch event here in London, but he's not here today. But so it would have been good to have his opinions. But just wondered what you guys thought of the Switch and whether you're going to pick one up. Mike, I'll come to you first. What do you think?
I think the initial line of games is quite poor. The only game I was really interested in is Lego City Undercover, which I loved on the Wii U. Yeah. But I found out today it's on the Xbox One and PS4 soon, so that's pretty much my only reason for buying a Switch gone.
Yeah, I saw you tweeting about that earlier.
Yeah, it looks alright. I'm not going to be negative about it. I'm sure people will like it, but I bought the last 3 Nintendo consoles on day of release, and to be honest with you, I don't see anything which it's doing which interests me that much, really.
That's fair enough. What about you, Stephen? What are your thoughts on the Switch?
I mean, I think the concept is really cool. I dig the general idea of it. I mean, it's underpowered for a new console, but it's not underpowered for what it is. And, I mean, everybody's kind of complaining about the price of it. I think it's fine as far as the price. I mean, you buy a cell phone for like $600. This thing obviously is way more powerful than that. The initial launch of games, I will say, I also agree is pretty weak. The only one I'm really excited for is Xenoblade, because I love that whole series. And, but Zelda, the other big one you can get on Wii U. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I thought that was kind of dumb. They should have just released it for the new system so that they can actually get some sales on it. But yeah, I don't know how much confidence a lot of folks have in the Nintendo consoles anymore.
That's interesting. What about you, Caleb?
I think he brought up the same point, underpowered. I really don't trust Nintendo at this point to have like a good user experience. Like I really just hate like iPads and stuff as is. And I don't like using stuff like that. So I just don't see, this is not for me. It's obviously, this is going to be great if this is going to be for a different group of people. And I just don't think it's going to be anything I'm very interested in. I might change my tune though. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, my opinions kind of mirror everything that's been already said here. The one thing that I've just a bit confused by is the fact that when the Vita came out, and one of the main criticisms about the Vita was that a lot of the games were console games and people didn't want to play console games on a handheld. Yeah. But yeah, this is kind of the appeal for a lot of people who are saying they're going to buy one. So it's kind of mixed messages. I don't know. It looks like a cool system. Eventually, I may get one in the future. Right now, though, as you guys have said, there's nothing really on it for me. I like racing games. I know it's got Mario Kart coming, but I like racing sims. Nothing there for me, really. Okay, that's our quick Switch news roundup sorted. Let's move on to our main, well, not our main topic, but we'll talk about what we've picked up recently on the Dreamcast and on other systems. Gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'll go first because I'll be really quick. I've been playing on the PS4, I've been playing The Witcher 3 and Need for Speed Rivals, which is quite an old game, but it's... We've got somebody coming into the DreamPod. We've got a late arrival. Need for Speed. Need for Speed Rivals because it was £5 in the sale. On the PS2, I've been playing a game called Metal Black, which is a part of the Taito collection, and it's a sort of a side-scrolling 2D shmup, arcade roots. I believe it was originally going to be Darius 3, but it was changed to Metal Black. And on the Dreamcast, I've been playing a lot of fishing games. You might have seen the article I did, the Ultimate Guide to Dreamcast Fishing Games. And apart from that, just a bit of Headhunter, which I was playing for most of yesterday afternoon before I wrote the kind of mini review I put up on the Junkyard. So that's what I've been doing. Cool. Let's go around the table and see what everybody else has been playing. Mike, what have you been doing?
So I've been on the Dreamcast. I'm on my quest to review every game on Dreamcast. I've got to the letter E, and so I've been doing Evil Dead and Evil Twin this week.
Sorry about that.
Wasn't the most exciting of weeks, got to be honest with you. Evil Dead is poor game. The other games, so on the modern consoles, I don't know, I'm in a bit of a rut at the current time. I haven't really found anything I want to play. XCOM 2, I'm playing XCOM 2 on Xbox One. And I've been playing Dirt Rally and WRC 6.
Oh, lots of Rally then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, always Rally.
Yeah, interesting. WRC 6 is only coming out in the US in like March or something. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of stuff on Twitter about WRC 6 coming out. And I was just like, wait, what? What? It's already out. But then I realised, it's the American release. So
yeah.
I'm
surprised it's getting an American release because I'm I don't know, but I'm guessing the World Rally Championship isn't massive in the States.
No. Okay, let's move on. Caleb, what have you been playing? What have you been doing?
I recently just hosted yet another excellent retro video game day event.
Nice.
And there was a lot of little kids there, and I was really surprised. I had the two games which were big hits, of course. I set up the Samba de Amigo.
Oh yes,
and that was hilarious. Yeah. So we had like a lot of people with like families there. So there was actually ended up a lot of more kids than I usually get at events like this. So that was hilarious seeing little kids playing that. And the other surprise hit for the Dreamcast for that event was actually Bomberman Online.
Oh, cool.
And I think it's just because it was just a simple game that like pretty much anybody remembered. Like obviously parents recognized it from their versions that they played when they were kids, and the little kids could easily get into it because they could just see if you go into battle and you just start up the multiplayer and it's just the simple map. And then the only twist really is that if you die, then you get to go and launch bombs from the sidelines. And it was a big hit. So that leads me to believe that once Alice Dreams Tournament gets up and going, that's going to be a big multiplayer hit as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, so that was very exciting. I ended up kind of going more family friendly with that, and the Dreamcast still has a ton of games that's really good for a retro video game day like that. So had a lot of fun.
Excellent cutscenes as well, if I remember rightly, in Bomberman Online. Loads of like really nice animated scenes, sequences.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I like the winning state too, where all the little Bombermen are throwing the winner up in the air.
Yeah,
he's pretty fun.
It's cool. Excellent. All right, then. Okay, moving on to our guest host, Stephen. Please enlighten us. What have you been doing? What have you been playing, picking up?
Two things. One Dreamcast-related, one non. Dreamcast-related, Illbleed.
Ah, cool.
Illbleed is fantastic, and I feel completely misunderstood. Before I actually got the game, I just knew how awesome and cult following and, amazing game. But there's so much to it. Like, I don't know if you know how the mechanics work in it, but essentially, like you start the game, you find this little device that you're going through a haunted house, right? Mm-hmm. And you find this device that allows you to see traps coming up, essentially. But you have 5 senses, and those 5 senses tell you what the trap might be. So if your sense of smell goes off, then find something stinky in the room and mark it. Because if you mark it before it scares you, it doesn't scare you. It just gives you more adrenaline, which allows you to access more traps and stuff. And then there's all kinds of upgrades, and you can change all the different characters, and each different level is like a different horror movie. It's absolutely amazing. It completely was, even as excited as I was to have it, it's way better than I ever thought it would be.
It's one of those games, it's a hidden gem into it never came out in the UK or PAL territories, so it's quite an uncommon game over here.
Really?
And it does go for quite a lot when it comes up on eBay.
It's worth getting.
Yeah, I've played it off the SD card reader that I've got, so that's how I've played it myself. Interestingly, on the subject of Illbleed, I read a really fascinating interview with a guy who he did an interview. I can't off the top of my head remember which website it was on, but I will put a link in the show notes to this. There was an interview with the lead developer from Blue Stinger, who also worked on Illbleed. Mm-hmm. And it's just fascinating how much they had to change and just the development process, not only of Blue Stinger, but also of Illbleed, and the way that those two games are linked. Fascinating read. I'll put a link in the...
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. But yeah, sorry, Stephen. What was your other game?
No, it's all good. The other thing is I got the, the NES Classic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I picked up one. And
oh my
that
God.
I've been playing...
Who did you have to kill to get that?
I work in retail. It's very nice. But what it was have you heard about the recent hacking of it?
Yes, yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I've been putting like better versions of games, like hacked sprites and translated Japanese ROMs, and like these games that never even came out officially. Like it's so fun just updating the games and putting new box art in and making it professional. And it's just you could fit about 90 games on there. It's pretty cool.
So, Stephen, quickly, I've never looked into actually what the process is of actually putting new stuff on it. What do you do? Do you have to hook it up to a PC or what? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty easy. It's essentially you hook it up to your computer. You get DC Hack Me, I think it's called. I can find out exactly what. No, it's called Hack Chi, version 2 or something. If you Google hack the NES, the program comes up. So the program's finally in an executable way, so you don't have to know any coding to do it. You essentially load it up. It automatically installs a driver. Like you just click install driver, installs it to your computer. Then you dump the kernel that's already on the NES, just in case anything happens. You can like
reload
it and fix it. Then you install the custom firmware. Once the custom firmware is installed, it's as simple as selecting games. Then it's actually got a button that just says Google that searches Google Images for the box art for it. I make my own because I need it to all be the same size and same quality, and I'm really particular that way.
Otherwise, it really freaks you out, does it? Like,
yeah, absolutely. It would bother the hell out of me. Like, is that a crease? No. But then then you basically just hit load games onto system, like load new games onto system. And once you do that, you just hold the reset button and press power when it's already hooked up to your computer, and just starts automatically adding everything. But the cool part is that list stays there all the time. So I can literally just put the system back in and switch out the games like all the time. I think I have a list of like 200 games now that I'm up to that I just keep swapping through. Wow. And playing different ones. But yeah, it's really amazing. I love the CRT filter.
It didn't take long for them to hack that, did it? I mean, a couple of months?
Well, yeah, and I think it was on purpose. There's actually a message from Hanafuda inside the programming for the system that essentially says something to the effect of emulation was going to happen. Please keep the place clean and don't break anything. Like
that's cool.
That's essentially what it said. I was like, that's awesome. Now I just can't wait for an SNES version to come out.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. All right, so that's what we've been playing. That's what we've picked up. Okay, we'll take a very minor break, and then we'll be back to discuss the burning issues from the Dreamcast scene. Back after this. Welcome back. You are listening to episode 46 of the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod. We're joined by a special guest, Mr. Stephen Robinson from DreamcastHub.com. Okay, news. Let's jump straight in. First thing on the agenda, Shenmue. ShenmueHD.com has been registered. I saw this. It was all over the place a couple of weeks ago. I believe the original story came from Sega Nerds and Shenmue 500K, where they discovered that somebody at Sega Europe had registered ShenmueHD.com for whatever reason. What do you think, guys? I mean, to be honest, I thought this probably was just them protecting their IP rather than actually making an announcement, like, because otherwise wouldn't they have said something by now? I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's more to do with protecting stuff than it is a new release. I think they would have hyped it by now, wouldn't they?
They just want to register it because of all the hashtag Shenmue HD that's happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean it's quite interesting. You can actually look at on the British government website. You can actually look at like patents and stuff and copyright files and all that kind of thing. And if you just type Dreamcast in, you can see that they've re-registered it multiple times, but it doesn't mean that they're going to bring out a new Dreamcast. So,
I mean, that's the big thing that everybody doesn't understand. To protect your intellectual property, you have to make sure you have that stuff registered so no random person can use it.
I mean, I do hope there's a PC version. Like, I know that they haven't really said anything about it, but I think the community wants it enough. But all I really care about, I just want a PC version because I want mods, because I want to see how good that game can actually look.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone doesn't want to see an updated HD remake of Shenmue, because obviously there are a lot of people who are... Maybe they've been swept up in the whole hype machine and maybe haven't even played Shenmue, so the best way to get them into it properly would be to, re-release it on PC or whatever console it could come to, so that's no bad thing. But yeah, I just thought it was worth touching on because we didn't really put it on the main blog just because so many other sites had already covered it. I just didn't think there was any point, let's jump in and get on the bandwagon. I just don't see the point. Okay. That's ShenmueHD.com. Okay, next piece of news is the LightCon, the wireless Dreamcast light gun that works with HD TVs, has been finalised, and it actually looks like an official Dreamcast gun. I know the official gun didn't come out in the States, guys, so if you're not sure what we're talking about, then apologies, no, I'm joking. But the prototype one that this guy, Chris, the guy who made the DreamCon wireless controllers, the prototype version that he made was using a third-party light gun, and it had a Wiimote bit sticking out the end, and it looked a bit ropey. But the new version has got all that stuff inside the actual gun, so it just looks like a normal Dreamcast gun. It's wireless. Yeah, it's got a battery in the handle. It's got a light on it that tells you when the battery's going to run out. It's got virtual VMUs built into it. Also, he's actually reworked the sensor bar. It uses a Wii sensor bar, basically, and he's kind of created it so that it basically goes into the connection with the VGA connector. And it works with a VGA screen, works with a VGA HD TV or a CRT. I think it's just a really cool thing. And this guy, he's creating all these other peripherals. I mean, recently he did a keyboard. I believe he's working on a mouse as well, a wireless keyboard and mouse. I just think it's fantastic that he's still making these new hardware mods for the Dreamcast, with all this wireless technology that he's kind of created. It is a bit expensive. That's one of the main things that people aren't too excited about. It's $185 for the set and the gun. It's just on its own. If you send your own gun to him, he will mod it and send it back to you with all the other bits and pieces for $135, which is still a bit much, but
it's quite expensive. But people were getting well too hung up on the fact that it was the price. It seemed like because people thought it was expensive, they were just going to be negative about it straight away, which was a weird reaction to something.
I mean, the fact is the guy doesn't have an assembly line. No, you know what I mean? Like, exactly. He has to custom make this whole thing. Yeah. So I would say because of the handmade aspect of it, it does make sense that it would be more expensive. Mm-hmm. Plus, you got a Wiimote involved and all the other stuff. So
yeah, I mean, don't forget he has to actually source the gun. Yeah, he has to source the Wiimote and the sensor bar, and then has to put it all together and actually create these one by one by hand. So when you put it into that kind of perspective, you can kind of see why he's charging what he's charging for it.
I wonder if he'll do whichever gun you want, or if he has to use specifically the one that he's using in the pictures.
That would be a shame if somebody sent him over the kind of I don't want to say
Star Trek zapper.
Well, yeah, the lame-looking Mad Catz one that we got is the official one. It's not the boy. It would be a shame if somebody paid $185.
But it's so much safer. It doesn't look like a gun.
But yeah, I just thought it was really cool that he'd done this. And
that would be awesome if they used the. I believe it's Haz who did the Dreamcast light gun that looked like a real gun.
Oh yeah, the Desert Eagle one.
That would be cool. There was
that thing was gorgeous.
Yeah, there was one too that looked like another one, but I forget who made it. There was a couple third-party ones that looked like real guns. It'd be awesome if somebody sent one of those in and he tried to fit everything in that.
There was one.
That'd be cool.
There was one I saw that looked like a I think it was a Beretta and it had a laser sight on it. I don't know why you need a laser sight.
I have 3 main ones. I have the Mad Catz one, where I have a couple of those that I got new when they went on clearance back in the day at Toys R Us. And then I have the Pelican one, which is kind of like a weird Halo-looking one. And then I have the oh shoot, now I forgot the name. It's the big chunky one that came out in the US. Well, shoot, never mind. Now I don't have the name of that. It's Starfire or something like that. I don't know.
Anyway, it's a cool thing, and more power to him. If he had
I would buy it.
If he had a full team behind him and they had all the parts, it was really cheap to make. I'm sure it'd be cheaper, but that's just the way it is. I mean, we're talking about really antiquated technology now and bringing it back up to modern standard. But yeah. Let's move on to the next thing. I'm sure you saw this. The official, I say official Sega Mega Drive emulator, it was never actually intended to be released to the public. But a gentleman by the name of Laurent, I hope I'm pronouncing that right with my really poor French accent, he bought a bunch of GD-ROMs, and in that collection of GD-ROMs was this strange Mega Drive emulator disc. Now, I remember seeing this a couple of months ago when I went to see my what's the word? Clandestine? No. My ex-Sega contact, who will remain nameless for now. When I went and saw Colin McRae Rally 2 and Take the Bullet and all those other unreleased games, he had a copy of this. And I saw it in action, but I didn't know what it was. And when I tried to take video of it, the MacBook hard drive failed, so I lost all the footage. So it kind of just went into the ether. Anyway, this guy got one. He put it on our Facebook group, and I remember I've seen that before. And he sent me a dump of the GD image, and I put it on my SD card. I played it, and I was like, yeah, this is the same thing I played all those months ago, but I got no footage of. So I put a little video up on the Junkyard, put a link to the download, and it just went kind of viral almost. The amount of people who were like, wow, this is amazing. Guys, I just want to ask, has anyone here actually downloaded and played it yet? The Mega Drive emulator, the official Sega one?
No.
I downloaded it, but I haven't put it in yet.
So is this... so I know there was an official one that was on another disc. And it was... I'm not thinking of the official, the Smash Pack one. Because this is different than that.
Yeah.
But I'm not... I want to say this sounds familiar that there was another Mega Drive emulator, but maybe I'm just thinking of the same thing, and this is the first time it's actually been available for, mass downloads.
Yeah, so basically the story is that they were creating this internal emulator for Mega Drive games just for purpose, like testing purposes. That's the story that I've gathered so far. And it was never intended to be released to the public, and it was just kind of passed around internally between Sega employees. And then, obviously, as time has gone on, things get lost. And then, kind of like, when like dev kits turn up on eBay, things like that, they've just come out into the public domain somehow. We were never meant to see them. And all of the ROMs on there, one of the guys who actually created the emulator has come out and said, yeah, we just downloaded ROMs from the internet and dumped them on there just to see if they would play. They do play with varying degrees of reliability. Some of them are perfect, but some of them are really slow, or they've got loads of glitchy graphics. I played Gunstar Heroes on there, and that plays perfectly, but the intro screens are all glitchy. So, like I say, it differs on whether or not they play well. Interestingly, there are some games on there that say Smash Pack in brackets, so they have been taken from the Sega Smash Pack disc, or whatever source was, the source code was. But yeah, I thought it was worth talking about just because it's fascinating that something can remain not seen by the public for so long.
Yeah.
And then come to the fore.
I wanted to get it. I don't have a CD burner.
Well, somebody
unfortunately.
Oh, right, sorry. I was going to say, if you didn't have an SD card, I was going to say that somebody actually did create a bootable CD version, but if you haven't got a CD burner, then that doesn't really help.
No.
Yeah, like I remember back in 2007, I did like a huge disc where it was basically just like this. I used, and I forget the name of the emulator that I used, but I had like just as many Genesis ROMs that I could fit on one disc, and they all seemed to play fine. Like I actually went through and I tried them all out, and as far as I could see, there wasn't that many like glitches and stuff.
Yeah. I think the exciting thing from a kind of like a digital preservation point of view is that this was actually being created by Sega. It was an official thing that kind of didn't really go anywhere. If you look at the title screen, it does say like Sega Europe 2000 or something, or 2001. So I think other emulators that have, come to the fore now came out sort of post-mortem after the Dreamcast had already kind of kicked the bucket, as it were, and developed later. I mean, there are other emulators which are better than this, but this was, for all intents and purposes, one that was being created by Sega. But do you see what I'm saying? I think it's interesting from that point of view.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
I think it's interesting to see how much more is out there to find. Maybe your let's call him deep throats of the DC community will pass on some more at some point. But there's bound to be other stuff out there which is
undoubtedly, yeah,
really
undoubtedly.
Black and white.
There are some collectors in the Dreamcast community who are like really secretive.
Yes.
I'm sure there's collectors in every sort of stream of collecting for video games, but people who don't want Twitter fame, they don't want YouTube fame, they just collect because they enjoy collecting.
Yeah.
And the amount of stuff that we don't see that is in these collections must be phenomenal. There must be so much stuff that we'll never get to see.
You get hints, don't you, on Assembler sometimes. You sort of see some things that you're just thinking, oh, I'd love to see that. But, I understand why. End of the day, it's like you said, some of them don't want fame, and, some people don't have the inclination to pass on. There is the other side where some people just don't want to give their rare stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I know Pat the NES Punk talks quite a lot about this on his podcast about people who have got all these things in their collections, like stadium events for the NES. And keeping them for themselves kind of creates a kind of a false economy of rarity.
Yeah, because he was specifically talking about that one guy who had like just boxes of like multiple new games that have just never been opened. And back in that's from preservation standpoint, those guys aren't the guys that are trying to like drive up the price and stuff like that. Those are guys who just have a collection and they just have their collection. And every once in a while that collection comes up. And I think there's probably an awful lot of stuff like that for the Dreamcast because, it was the generation where people kind of realized, oh yeah, a lot of this stuff is people are going to be interested in it later on. So I think there's a lot of like stuff new and packaged for the Dreamcast, and a lot of like weird one of a kind things that people probably have in their collections that are just not readily known. So
like the Lego Dreamcast. I'm still waiting for somebody else to have made one and put pictures up on the internet. If you've not made a Lego Dreamcast yet, go and have a look on the site and get the building instructions. Right, let's move on. The next thing, there's a new Kickstarter. This is called Escape 2042, and this is from Orion, the same guy who created Zia and the Goddesses of Power and multiple other Dreamcast and PC homebrew games. Guys, have you seen this?
I have.
What do you think?
Oh my god, it looks so good.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion, to be honest. What do you think, Mike?
Good. I've liked all of Orion's games so far. Another attempt at something a bit different. That's good.
So for those people who have not seen this, Escape 2042 looks like a very kind of lo-fi retro themed platform puzzler. Is that the right term?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I quite like it. It looks almost like something like it reminds me of like an Amiga game.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, Mike, if you want to just describe what it's about, if you can.
You've asked me a question that I don't know particularly. I haven't.
I watched the videos.
Yeah, there you go. Stephen will do it. There you go.
No, it's just it's basically so you play as a engineer that designed the security systems, and you know how to get past the security systems because obviously you designed them. I like how it breaks up the platforming by having little hacking sections where you actually hack into like these little terminals so that you can disable things. I don't know. It just looks like a really cool game. And for some reason, there's like a level you can play on Game Boy. Like I don't know how that's gonna work, but I guess they're going to give a cartridge out too.
It
just looks really interesting.
It's coming for like the Megadrive and Genesis, as well as the Game Boy and PC, according to the Kickstarter. I'm just looking at it now. It's got the funding goal is €25,000 and the 16 days to go, and it's at 6,281. So it looks like we might be heading towards another one that doesn't make it, but it's still a nice idea. And to be honest, with Orion,
that seems a little high.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, with Orion, he makes his games anyway, so even if this kind of doesn't make its target, I'm pretty sure that he will bring it out, just because he does this stuff in his spare time.
It's fifth game.
I mean, it looks like the best offering.
Yeah. I mean,
I've seen from them anyway.
This comes off the back of the cancellation of the In the Line of Fire Kickstarter, which has been met with much... what's the word?
Kills me.
Yeah, much disappointment. Not just in the fact that it's been cancelled, but in the way that it kind of was cancelled. I speak to Wilson and the other guys quite a lot on the internet, and they seem like they've got a lot of passion for the Dreamcast. So, and also they have a really good product. So it does kind of burn that it's not going to get funded. That said, who knows where it could go.
I have no idea why this wasn't supported. I mean, everybody complained about Henshin Engine because there is a side goal of Dreamcast just in case they made enough money, but they still raised enough money. They're up to 100 or something that they got now.
Oh, I don't know.
But it's they got a lot. But it's basically this game, he literally came out and said, hey, we're only releasing this for Dreamcast. That's it. That's what we want to make it for. That's what we're going to release it for. Do you guys want it? And on top of the fact that they're releasing for only Dreamcast, if they hit a certain goal, they would also release the engine so that other people can actually make games for the Dreamcast, allowing more games to come out even still after that. I don't know. It's just, I felt really bad because it's a guy working really hard. That's, he's got a lot of passion and he's making it happen, but, it's just, they didn't get the support they needed. And I can't wrap my head around why.
Yeah. I think we discussed this on the last podcast, and I think Mike had a good point. I mean, even though we collectively here are all big fans of the Dreamcast and we play it regularly, I think maybe the Dreamcast community isn't as big as maybe we kind of think it is. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those systems that everybody kind of remembers, and they know what it is, but they don't maybe own one or play one anymore.
That's a good point. I assume there's a lot of people that fund these games that think, they fund the games and then they get the game, and it's like a collector's thing. But they don't actually play Dreamcast games. So I think the sort of people that collect games, they're going to look at certain games as collectible, and you kind of look at In the Line of Fire, and it's that just doesn't seem like the sort of game that people just automatically assume, this is going to be a collectible game because it's an old school looking game.
It's not sprite graphics.
Yeah. It's not sprite graphics. So you got all these collectors that don't actually play games, but they just, have all these games that they just, have in their collection. And it's just you want to have sprite games and stuff, which is why, it's a real shame.
So from now on, have a 2D sprite version collector's edition.
Yeah.
One of the criticisms I saw on the Dreamcast Junkyard on the Facebook page, and I'm not singling anybody out in particular here, but some comments saying that the game looked like garbage, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, have you seen this game?
Yeah.
It looks almost looks like an official Dreamcast game. How can you say it looks bad?
I mean, compared to a PS4 or a PC, it's not exactly up to date, but considering what the Dreamcast was limited to, it was amazing that they were able to stretch that much out of it, and those were just first part textures too. They didn't those are placeholder textures. They didn't even get to where they needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what people were doing with stuff like, now I forget the name of the game, but all the Half-Life mods, back in 2005 and stuff, there was just, it's obviously he was getting the most he could get out without putting a ton. I mean, to get something that'd be better looking, it would just, the amount of work required would just be insane.
Yeah, man, I did my best to support them as well as I could. I mean, to the point where people thought I was being paid for it, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I just wanted to see them succeed so badly, and they deserved it, but it just didn't work out for whatever reason.
It is a real shame, but I think, again, I said it last time as well, is that there is also a certain part where people are just getting a bit, there's too many coming now. How many we got live in the last year? 6 or 7 Kickstarters?
I mean, that's a good problem to have.
It is, but the community is not big enough to be able to support it anyway. And that's the there's people on there. You go to like DC Online forums and stuff. People they love it, but is it going to be? And I think one of the things we said earlier on about the fact that it's a Dreamcast only game. The other games that have got funded have got on other consoles as well. If it's a game just on Dreamcast, you're straight away limiting how many people are gonna do it. If you've got it on a Megadrive, you've got it on PC or whatever. There's another element, another stream of people who can actually buy it. Right. But I think, to be honest with you, I think people just didn't. I don't know what the reason was. I agree with Tom and all of you. I don't know why people said it looked garbage for it. It looked awesome.
It looked amazing.
But I think 2D stuff sells better. Maybe it's easier to class as retro. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you're right about its exclusivity to Dreamcast is something that Dreamcast purists absolutely love, but doesn't give them the wide enough market to actually fund themselves. I mean, honestly, they made $14,000 out of like 150 backers. So honestly, that's
pretty good.
People put a lot of money towards it. I mean, at least tried to, but.
I think Escape 2042 is going to be going after the giant ab-scaling community that loves rock climbing in video games, and so I think that's going to be a big crossover hit right there.
Dude, that was the only reason I won it.
Okay, from one game that's just about to hit... Well, it's already hit... I'll start that again. Okay.
Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. Okay.
Great job.
Okay, from one game that has hit Kickstarter to another game that is now free to download and play, let's look at a game called Crafti, which is a Minecraft clone, which has been ported to the Dreamcast from, believe it or not, a graphic calculator.
Oh, yeah.
I only, mate, I couldn't make it up. I was at work. Okay, this is how it went down. I was at work, and somebody tweeted at the Dreamcast Junkyard Twitter account, and I just happened to briefly have a look at it while still at work. And somebody said, "Oh, you might want to have a look at this." So I clicked on the link, read the little forum post on DC emulation. At this point, nobody had really paid much attention to it. I was like, "Oh, that's nice, cool." I just sent him a message back going, "Oh, thanks, that's very interesting." When I got home, I was just kind of sat around and I thought, I'll have a look at that now, and went back on the DC emulation forum, downloaded the file, put it onto a disc, burnt it onto a disc, and I started playing on it. And I must have been playing on it for about 45 minutes, and I built like a house and stuff. And I've never really played Minecraft before. I think I played it once in the past on the 360 for about an hour, and this was quite similar, very very basic take on Minecraft, but it had all the same elements. You could build things. There's a basic physics engine. You can create explosions with TNT and switches and all that kind of thing. And I just thought this is really cool. So I made a little post. I took some pictures with my crappy USB capture dongle thing, and made a little video just of me like blowing stuff up and building like a little house with some bricks and whatnot. And it's gone really popular. I mean, people like Kotaku and Polygon covered it on their sites. So thanks to those people for that. But yeah, I don't know if either of you or any of you guys downloaded Crafti for the Dreamcast and had a go. I'm going to take silence as a no.
So my opinions on it. I watched the videos. I saw the screen. I saw everything you posted pretty much. Well, I at least started watching the video. Yeah. The one thing I was wondering, are there enemies in it, or
no? Is
it just the basic building?
No, it's basic building. So basically, the story is that this thing Crafti is actually a port of, as I said earlier, for some reason somebody decided to try and create a Minecraft clone for a graphic calculator called an Inspire, a Texas Instruments Inspire, and so somebody else saw this and then ported that version to the Dreamcast.
I love that somebody woke up and was like, you know what I got to do today? I love this calculator, but I like Minecraft just as much. Yeah.
And you can kind of tell it's basically it doesn't use any of the Dreamcast like graphics processors or anything like that. It doesn't use the Power VR chip or anything like that. I think it's basically just running on software or something like that. I'm not massively technically minded, so I might be wrong on that. But it's very crude. There's not a massive draw distance, and it does get a bit choppy at times. Also, the only mode that you can access is there's no like intro or anything. You just put the disc in, turn it on, and then it just you just appear in this like world of hills and trees, and you can press start to get all the different blocks up on the screen. You can add them to your little itinerary thing at the bottom, and then just kind of walk around and just place bricks and demolish bricks, and as I say, the same things that apply to normal Minecraft apply here. So explosives, lava, switches, all that kind of thing.
I'm glad you mentioned the switches and everything, because like that's the one thing I was wondering. I was like, when I was watching the video, I was like, is this just putting different textured blocks down? Like that was kind of the worry. And then I saw the water and I was like, oh, that's cool. Awesome. The water actually works. Good stuff. And I was curious about the rest of it. So you said like there's switches and TNT and all that stuff too.
Yeah. I mean,
very cool.
All the basics are in there. I mean, as I say, this is a very basic port of a very basic like clone of Minecraft, so don't expect to have like some kind of story mode or any enemies or anything like that. There's nothing. There's literally nothing in the world. You can just walk for miles and miles and miles and nothing happens. There's nobody there. You just kind of build stuff or demolish stuff. That's it. Just as like a sort of a little demo of what can be done. It's very impressive.
No, I was going to say, two things I hope. I hope one, some kind of repro company picks it up and actually makes like a press disc with like manual and stuff, because I live for physical copies. But also, like, I wonder what somebody could actually do with this in terms of adding maybe the enemies something to actually hide from, so that you have a reason to build this house and stuff, like.
Yeah,
I wonder what can actually be done with it.
It's actually interesting you say that, because now that the basics are actually in place, I mean, again, I might be talking out of my ass here because I'm not a developer, but I can't see why somebody couldn't take what has been done by the games. The guy's name is Game Blah Blah. That's his handle on DC Emulation. So massive props to him for doing this, or her. Could be her. What they've created.
Don't assume it's gender.
I know. Sorry, shit. I'm gonna have all the SJWs after me now. What they've created could be the basis of something even bigger and better. So who knows? That's the magic.
I mean, if it runs on a calculator, there's obviously free space for more performance,
Yeah.
It's not going to be held back by the power.
There's the version on the PSP called Lamecraft, and I have no idea if that has enemies or not.
What's that called? Lamecraft?
Ooh, PSP ports. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's if a PSP can run a version that has monsters, then again, I don't know, because it's obviously much easier to release. The PSP stuff. There's a huge community for that. But I don't know. It seems like if it was easy to do, then somebody might have already done it already. But if there's an existing project that's released for something somewhat similar, then maybe I don't know. But who knows?
The weird thing is that I'm for some reason I thought that somebody had already made a Minecraft game for the Dreamcast years ago.
I thought that as well.
Yeah, and I've looked for it since, but I can't find anything. It might be one of those, the Mandela effect stuff that's going around the internet at the moment, where things change from the past.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I love watching the videos.
You saw the Sinbad Genie movie, right?
I've seen the video about the Sinbad Genie movie, but I don't remember the actual Sinbad Genie movie. When
everybody I ask about it literally remembers it. Like, it's so weird.
Was it Shazam or something?
No, it's not Shazam. That's the thing. Everybody says, people are just confusing Shazam with Sinbad. And it's like, no. I sort of, in the back of my head, remember a scene from this stupid movie where Sinbad plays a genie. And it's just like, no, that happened. And it's completely different than that stupid Shazam movie with Shaq, I believe is. Yeah.
There was another one I saw the other day that I thought, no, that's definitely wrong. That's I can't remember what it was though off the top of my head. Sorry, great story, I know. But I love all that stuff about like the weird thing is like the Berenstain Bears, or whatever it is, the Berenstain Bears. That was never even a thing here. I've never heard of it before. This whole Mandela effect thing came up like on internet forums and whatnot. So that was interesting enough for me just to like look at the. Do you know what? I can't stand the way that the Berenstain Bears are like the faces are drawn. With that mouth, that horrible, like, sort of pointy mouth. It just, it's horrible.
And the curly toes and stuff.
Yeah.
And weird Grinch-like fingers.
Is that actually like a big thing? Was that like a big part of your childhood, either of you two over in the States?
Oh yeah, those were the first books I learned.
I remember them.
Yeah.
I don't remember like being super stoked for every single thing that came out about them.
The first one that I read was just this creepy one about a tree, and like to this day, that's one of the creepiest children's books. And it's so weird, like how different that one book was from the rest of the Berenstain Bears books. But yeah, no, those were the books that I learned how to read by reading those, because there's like a million of them.
That's probably like. Have you ever heard of the Mr. Men?
Oh, what?
The Mr. Men.
Obviously, I have.
No. Oh, well, yeah. I'm wondering if that's like the Berenstain Bears is like a similar thing to the Mr. Men over in the States.
The British Berenstain Bears.
The Mr. Men, yeah. When I say it to someone who's never heard of the Mr. Men, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" It's just like it's so bizarre that you've never heard of it. But I reckon...
Is it Mystery Men or is it Mr. Men?
Mr. As in like... Okay. Yeah, so Mr. And they've all got... There's like one called Mr. Tickle, which has got like dead long arms. And there's one called Mr. Greedy, who eats everything. And it's kind of probably like the same... Oh yeah, Mr. Bump, who's got bandages all around him.
Oh wait, is that... Okay, so we had the thing called Mr. Yuck, that you would put Mr. Yuck on things that little kids weren't supposed to touch. Like cleaning stuff.
I don't know if it's the same thing. It might
not.
No,
that's not the same thing.
Like there was Mr. Sneeze, who was like a big snowflake thing.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah,
I just googled it. Yeah, I've seen them. I didn't know the name.
Oh well, welcome back to the Mr. Men and Berenstain Bears podcast. All right, guys. So Crafti on the Minecraft, it's available now. Just go and look at the website or just type Minecraft Dreamcast into Google and you'll find it. Download it, put it on an SD card or put it on a disc and play it in your Dreamcast. It's good fun. Okay, let's move on. This next topic probably won't mean anything to you guys, but me and Mike have been messing with it, and that is the fact that Trickstyle, of all games, has been turned into iMessage stickers for the iPhone.
Yeah. The big news. The big news of the year.
Yeah.
Do you know, I only found this because I was looking on iTunes the other day, and I just typed in Dreamcast because I wanted to go to the DreamPod page to see if anyone had left any new reviews on the UK store. And I looked and nobody had, so thanks for that, everybody who's listening.
I finally have a reason to buy an iPhone. I've been resisting it, but now it's not even a choice.
You got to get one now, Stephen, that's it.
I got to get rid of my Android, all that. So,
yeah, so I was looking at the DreamPod thing, and then underneath it said, suggested apps and like other things, because I typed Dreamcast. And then there was this thing, it said Trickstyle. I was like, what? Trickstyle? So I clicked on it, and basically all it is whoever owns the IP to Trickstyle now, obviously it's not a claim anymore because they don't exist. Whoever owns the IP to Trickstyle has created some iMessage stickers of Trickstyle. And so I downloaded it, and the only other person I know who's got an iPhone, obviously, is Mike, who's obviously downloaded it as well. We were sending each other Trickstyle sticker messages the other day. And it's just like, I was thinking to myself, we're probably the only people on planet Earth sending each other Trickstyle messages on iMessage right now. So that was quite nice. Yeah. But yeah, I was going to say, guys, have you got any thoughts on this? But I can pretty much guess already what your thoughts might be. In that you don't give a toss.
My Android's already in the trash. I already threw it away.
It's the biggest news of the year, Tom. I think from now on it's downhill. Shenmue 3 doesn't matter to me anymore.
I just wish I backed it.
Yeah.
I was looking at the on the Dreamcast Junkyard, you can kind of see how many people have read each article in the back end of the blog, and I was looking at it the other day. I was just like, not many people have read the Trickstyle story, and I wonder why, But yeah, it's quite a sort of a bizarre and weird thing. I just thought it was worth reporting on. Yeah, that's right. So get yourself down onto the iTunes store and download the Trickstyle sticker albums. Cool. Fantastic. Okay, guys. I think that's pretty much it for this episode. There's not really anything else that I had on the crib sheet to discuss, unless anybody else wants to discuss anything. Nope. Okay, that's the cue for me to draw everything to a close.
Turns
out. Stephen, thank you very much for joining us on this particular episode of the DreamPod.
Thank you for having me again.
You are the should I call you the webmaster or the overlord of the Dreamcast Hub?
I like Overlord.
Yeah.
Overlord's I'm down with that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Supreme Overlord of the DreamcastHub.com website and also the Facebook group. I was going to say, do you want to kind of give your stuff a pimp? But I've kind of already done it. You can also be found on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yep. Dreamcast Hub on whatever you're using. Just search for it.
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, YouTube.
iMessage.
LinkedIn.
iMessage. It's when you release those sticker packs, that's when I'll get involved, Stephen. But yeah, thanks very much for having. I was going to say thanks very much for having us on, but thanks very much for being on the podcast. That's Dreamcast.
You're welcome. It's great to have you guys on.
It's DreamcastHub.com. Okay, guys, thank you, Caleb, for joining us. You are also on YouTube. Where can you be found?
I'm on YouTube at Blandco. So that's Bland and then CO afterwards. And on there, I've been talking recently about a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff and why you should be running your game of Dungeons and Dragons more like Dark Souls. Ooh. And what the benefits of that are. So a lot of interesting stuff coming up there.
Excellent. Okay. And Mike, you can be found on the internet at...
Sorry, I was going to say a rude answer there. Space_turnip on Twitter.
Excellent. Okay. I can be found on Twitter at Tom Lee C. And we can all be found collectively on Twitter at the DC Junkyard and on Facebook at facebook.com/the Dreamcast Junkyard. And we also have a group which is, quite popular. And you've also got a group as well, haven't you, Stephen? So, be a member of both.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Facebook.com/groups/DC Hub.
Okay, that'll do it for this particular episode. Thank you very much for listening. Before we go, I just want to give a very, heartfelt thank you to all the people on Patreon who donate $1 a month. That's very much appreciated. It helps us to keep the DreamPod going and advertising free. That's patreon.com/the Dreamcast Junkyard. Thank you to everybody who does donate $1 a month. That's amazing. Thank you very much. And that'll do it for this particular episode. And we'll see you on the next one. Everybody say goodbye.
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 It's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.